Hello students, in this video we are going to study about the topic management education and training. Students, telling you what is management. Management is the art of getting things done from others. And what is education and training? It is some learning given to someone to teach him or to educate him a certain topic or certain principles or rules. Let us start the topic by a background of the topic, that what is management. Students, management is a challenging job and it always requires various skills that has to be followed or that are to be learned while you are managing a task. Few skills that you learn while learning management are called as managerial skills, and they can be listed as conceptual skills that you get by reading the concepts of the management. Second is human relations skills that you develop, that how to interact or how to have a culture between humans. Third is your technical skills, which tells you about various rules, various principles, various formulas that has been implied in the management subject. It tells about the communication, the formal channel or the informal channel has to be followed while communicating with others. It tells about your administrative skills, that how you must need these skills in order to get things done from others. Next is your leadership skills, that is how you will lead a team, how you can be a good motivator so that you get your work done from others. And the last skill that is required is a problem solving skill, or you can say it is a decision making skill that is required for every individual to get a task in a channelized manner. Class, as you know, management is something that cannot be made you very much clear only by teaching. It is something that you have to practice when the time comes. Moving on to the next slide, management education and training in broader perspective says, if I can say you, if you can recall what are the functions of management, you can recall there are 5 functions of management. One is planning, organizing, directing, staffing, and controlling. This slide talks about the same thing, that management education and training teaches you 5 principles. The first one is setting the directions and the goals that an organization or an institution has to achieve. Second is planning, how to progress or how to progress about the program or how to progress about achieving objectives. Third is organizing all the available resources in hand, or the resources which needs to be procured, organizing them in the best and the efficient manner. Next is the controlling the implementing process. That means you have to keep a check, you have to keep a feedback that what all has been decided in planning is achieved or not. And next is improving the quality standards or the organizational standards and reaching to a growth rate. That is what management education and training is saying in broader perspective. I hope this much is clear, this much is the background of the topic. Next slide comes, that is what are the objectives of management education and training. Class, you can see management education and training provides you with 4 types of objective. First is your information objective, second is your behavioral objective, third one is your attitude objective, and fourth one is your social action objective. Students, information objective means that it provides the knowledge about the rules, regulations that needs to be followed when an event happens. That is information objective. You can see, for example, knowledge of effects of organic solvent on the skin and on the central nervous system. When you read from the book, you get to know what is management, you get to know what are the concepts of management. This is serving the purpose called as information objective. Second is your behavioral objective. Behavioral objective means the competencies and the skills that worker will learn, what you read and what you grasp. That means information एक book में तो बहुत सारी होती है class, but how much we grasp, how much we develop them, how much we learn it, that is forming a behavioral objective. For example, if you can see, the ability to interpret chemical data sheets or to lift a heavy object safely. What are your skills? What are your learnings after having a proper knowledge is what is making your behavioral objectives. Next is your attitude objective. Attitude objective means that how you think that this this information and this behavior will be seen or will be addressed. The beliefs that interfere with safe performance or with response to training, that must be addressed. That means when you have provided with the rules and regulations, when you have learned various fundamental rules and regulation, then how you perform it is called as your attitude objective. That is inbuilt out of your knowledge and out of your behavioral objectives. Next is your social objectives. Social objectives means class that how you analyze or how you critically see that problem. You see what is the solution, why this problem has occurred, what are the steps to resolve it, and all these has to be done in context with the social phenomena. This is what is called as social action objectives. I hope the objectives of management, education and training are very much clear to you. Moving on to the next slide, that is challenges of management, education and training. Class, whenever we are teaching management or whenever people are learning management, there always exist challenges. These are the three main types of challenges. First is your conceptual challenge. Class, conceptual challenge means that it is different from the view when we are studying the concepts, but when we have to apply it in a practical life, it depends upon various situations. If you remember my classes, I have already said you what I am teaching is different, but what you apply when your situations are different, what makes you a manager, that is called as your conceptual challenge. Second is your pedagogical challenge. Pedagogical means the way of teaching, how I am teaching and how much you learn, how much you recall or how much you can apply. The principles of management is different for every person because every person is different in his or her approach towards anything. That means management changes from person to person. There cannot be a set principle that this is good and this is not good in a case of management. There is no true, there is no false statement when we are teaching management or when some person is exercising management. You cannot say this management is correct and this management is not correct. Okay. Third one is motive based. It means that whenever management principle has to be followed, it has to be in context with the motive, in context with the objectives that needs to be completed. And if the objectives are not completed, you can say management principles are not well approached or are not well implemented. That is why these are three major challenges for management education. Moving on to the next slide, that is how India has changed from a world of low growths to a world of to a nation of high growths. Students, this is why India needs management education and training. That is because now in 1991, India has shifted its concept of industrial policy from being getting to indigenous towards foreign direct investments. They have converted their scope towards globalization, towards liberalization, and they have concepts of privatization. So class, when we are on a track of a moving economy, we needs to manage things, we needs to learn how the resources can be used in the best and the efficient manner. You can read the points. The first point says India and the Indians have undergone a paradigm shift. They have changed their economies, their government policies, their outlook for your business and industries, and their mindsets of the Indians are changing. Earlier, they were used to be a shortage of food and foreign exchange. Now, India has a surplus one, and India has to learn how to manage that food and foreign exchange, how to see for the import and export of material, how to deal with the world economy. From being an agro-based economy, India has changed itself to a service-oriented economy. That means they need to please the people with their communication skills. They needs to be getting educated so that they can deal with people at higher pace. From low growth of the past, the economy has become onto the high growth rate. India Earlier, India is low in the field of medical education. Now, India is at the Indian doctors are gaining their knowledge and are providing aids. India was late and slow in modernization of industry, but now they are turning to be a knowledge-based economy which is keeping its data intact so that it can be analyzed, it can be used for any kind of research purposes. The government is continuing with the process of liberalization, relaxations in the laws so that more and more companies can come in and put their more efforts for the employment of the people of India. Next, continuing with the slide, that is fatalism and contentment of Indian mindset has given way to optimism and ambition. Earlier, people remained to think about few things. Now, the ambitions and goals have been modernized. They have taken a jump. Every decade, the ambitions or the optimism of every decade changes. People earlier in India were introvert and defensive in approach. Now they are confident with a certain attitude and have a outward looking. And when this economy is changing its track, or you can say there is a drift in the economy, you think what a drift requires. The drift requires the learning of management education and training so that all the resources, all the changes that has been brought upon can be visualized, can be analyzed, and can be followed from the various management objectives of For example, your social objectives, your behavioral objectives, your information objectives, these all needs to be adopted in a positive response so that every change in the Indian economy has to be accepted by every citizen of India, and there requires the education and training in case of management so that people can learn how to manage their resources very well. Coming on to the next slide, these are the education and training methods. Education and training methods that have been applied in the organizations so that people can learn their jobs, people can do well while they are working. Okay, there are generally two types of training methods, or you can say education and training methods applied in the organizations. First is your on the job methods and second one is your off the job methods. On the job methods means जब आपको ट्रेनिंग प्रोवाइड करी जाती है while you are working in the organization itself, while you are performing your job and you are learning things, that means you are on the job method of education and training. You have seen some of the companies, what they do, as they sign the offer letter, they tell you this is the place, this is their education center, you have to move on there and learn, and after 2 months you have to come back to the places of your joining. This is class off the job method. What is on the job method? That while you are signing your offer letter, you are said yes, this is the place where you have to work, all what you have to learn is to be there and learn while the things are happening. Class, this is called as on the job method. Various private organizations, as they are having less funds with them, always go on the job method because they don't have a separate training centers to provide and guide people who work, whereas most of the government organizations provide off the job methods, that they spend their time over developing and educating and training of the employees, and after few time they allow the person to join on their respective places. Okay, I hope this on the job method and what is off the job method is very clear to you. Next are the points or the methods that are used on the job under the category of on the job methods. The first is understudy. In this the employee is trained by his or her supervisor. हम उसको supervisor के साथ उसके attach कर देते हैं और क्या होता है, वो अपने सीनियर के साथ असिस्ट करते करते चीज़ों को सीखता जाता है. सेकेंड मेथड इज जॉब रोटेशन मेथड. जॉब रोटेशन का मतलब है आज उसको इस डिपार्टमेंट में रखा, उसने इस डिपार्टमेंट की चीज़ें सीखी, नेक्स्ट मंथ उसको हम कोई और डिपार्टमेंट देंगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अ पर्सन इन सेल्स और यू कैन से अ पर्सन इन मार्केटिंग. पहले उसको हमने सेल्स का काम दिया 1 मंथ के लिए, जब उसको सेल्स का आ गया, सेकेंड में उसको हमने एडवर्टाइजमेंट में रख दिया सेकेंड मंथ में, थर्ड मंथ में हमने उसको बेंच जॉब कर दिया, that he is the team leader and has to manage the team. This is what is called as job rotation. This refers to shifting movement of an employee from one job to another on regular intervals so that he or she can learn the different work of the job. Third one is your special projects. Special projects mean हम उनको assign कर देते हैं special projects so that वो अपनी knowledge को use करें और उसमें सीखें कैसे काम करना है. Fourth one is experience, that you learn out of your experiences that how to do the work. Fifth one is your committee assignment. The trainees become member of the committee. हम उनको committees जो छोटी छोटी teams बनी होती हैं उनके साथ attach करते हैं and the committee is assigned a problem to discuss and makes its recommendations. Okay, and the last one is coaching. Coaching में क्या रहता है, एक सुपरवाइजर जो होता है आपका, वो आपका गाइड की तरह एक्ट करता है। एक बडी प्रोग्राम होता है जिसमें क्या रहता है, आपको एक बडी दे दिया जाता है जो आपके हर एक्शन में आपकी मदद करेगा और आपके हर एक्शन को क्रिटिकली इवेलुएट करेगा और करेक्ट करेगा। दैट इज अ कोचिंग that has been, if you are well aware that Indian team has a coach, that is a coaching method where a supervisor is acting as a guide and evaluating and correcting your moves. That is what is called as your coaching method. Next comes on to your off the job methods. I hope what are off the job methods are very much clear. In this, you have to leave your workplace and get a training, and then you sign up your job where you're posting or where you have to job. Okay, first is your special course and lectures. There you are provided with various seminars, various lectures where you have to study about various principle or what are the work that need to be done. This is special course and lectures. Second one is conferences and seminars. There you have people from all around the world where they will be taking your seminars and educating you about your jobs. Third one is selected reading. Selected reading, they provide you with journals, they provide you with magazines and tell you that you have to come prepared with these journals and magazines so that this is, you get a self improvement on the basis of the work you want to do. Fourth one is your case study method. This method has been developed by Harvard School, which means a case study is a actual phenomena or actual case that has happened, and you are given a piecelet of the case where you have to analyze it and suggest few reforms that can be taken upon. Okay, next comes your programmed instructions and learnings. This is a step by step self learning process जहां पर हम आपको एक सिस्टम देते हैं, जहां पर हम कहते हैं these are the steps, आपको ये सब फॉलो करना है. दिस इज मॉड्यूल 1, दिस इज मॉड्यूल 2, दिस इज मॉड्यूल 3. आपको ये सब अटेम्प्ट करना है, लर्न करना है, एंड you will be responding after the instructions or learning. Sixth one is your brainstorming. Brainstorming क्या होता है क्लास, ये पढ़ा भी है आपने. brainstorming क्या होता है, हम एक टीम को इकट्ठे बैठाते हैं और उनको बोलते हैं they can generate ideas without any fear of judgment. They will not be analyzed but they need to generate their ideas. Seventh one is role playing. In this, the trainees are provided a role. They will say you have to act like a leader, you have to act like a team player or team leader, and then analyze or analyze the situations by putting them in their shoes. नेक्स्ट इज योर वेस्टिब्यूल स्कूल्स. वेस्टिब्यूल स्कूल्स क्या होते हैं क्लास, एक सेम कंडीशन, शॉप कंडीशन सेम हम उसको बनाते हैं और वहां पर आपको ट्रेनिंग प्रोवाइड करते हैं ताकि आपको ऐसा लगे जैसे आप उस सिस्टम में ही हैं. दिस इज व्हाट इज कॉल्ड एज वेस्टिब्यूल स्कूल. नाइन्थ वन इज योर अप्रेंटिसशिप ट्रेनिंग. कहता है दिस प्रोग्राम ट्रेनिंग क्या है, इसमें आपको स्ट्रक्चर्ड प्रोसेस के थ्रू ट्रेनिंग कराई जाती है और इसमें स्किल्स सिखाई जाती हैं ताकि आप अपने आप को ऑन द जॉब ट्रेनिंग में या क्लासरूम्स में, आप एक अप्रेंटिसशिप का मतलब होता है एक सबऑर्डिनेट बनके एक ट्रेनिंग को समझना, दैट इज अप्रेंटिसशिप. उसमें आप ट्रेनिंग कर पाए विद योर सुपीरियर. नेक्स्ट कम इज योर इन बास्केट एक्सरसाइज. इन बास्केट एक्सरसाइज का मतलब है क्लास, आपको बहुत सारे पेपर्स, बहुत सारे मेमोज, बहुत सारा लेटर्स, ये सब उस कंपनी का प्रोवाइड कर दिया जाता है. आपको कहा जाता है प्लीज गो थ्रू द रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस, गो थ्रू द डॉक्यूमेंट्स एंड गेट अ सेंस ऑफ फीलिंग अबाउट द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. 11th वन इज योर बिजनेस गेम्स. कहता है आपको बड़ी सारी बिजनेस गेम्स से सिखाया जाता है दैट व्हाट इज एंड व्हाट आर इन्वॉल्व्ड, व्हाट आर द वर्क दैट नीड्स टू बी इन्वॉल्व्ड इन योर जॉब. नेक्स्ट इज योर बिहेवियर मॉडलिंग. बिहेवियर मॉडलिंग में हम सोशल लर्निंग अप्रोच लगाते हैं जिसमें हम देखते हैं दैट हम उसको सुपरवाइजरी स्किल्स बता पाए कि सारी चीजें विद बेसिस ऑफ बिहेवियर डील होंगी। जैसे आप लोगों के साथ बिहेव करेंगे वैसी ही एजुकेशन और वैसी ही ट्रेनिंग्स आपको प्रोवाइड करी जाती हैं ताकि आप स्पेसिफिक रहें विद योर बिहेवियर टुवर्ड्स योर सुपीरियर एंड सबॉर्डिनेट्स। नेक्स्ट वन इज योर सेंसिटिविटी ट्रेनिंग। सेंसिटिविटी ट्रेनिंग में क्या होता है क्लास, 10 to 12 लोगों का ग्रुप बनाया जाता है एक अनस्ट्रक्चर्ड सिचुएशन के लिए और इनको ओपन रखा जाता है। ये एक एजेंडा प्रोवाइड करते हैं, एक एजेंडा इनको प्रोवाइड कर दिया जाता है और इनको कहा जाता है अपने फीडबैक्स बताइए इस मैटर को लेके। दैट इज अ सेंसिटिविटी ट्रेनिंग। एंड द लास्ट वन इज योर मल्टीपल मैनेजमेंट। मल्टीपल मैनेजमेंट में क्या किया जाता है क्लास, एक जूनियर्स का जो अभी आपके होते हैं जूनियर्स फ्रेशर्स, उनको एक बोर्ड मेंबर बना दिया जाता है और उनको कहा जाता है एज अ कमेटी आप एक सजेशन प्रोवाइड करिए, रिकमेंडेशन प्रोवाइड करिए टू द सीनियर बोर्ड और उनको पता चलता है कि कैसे सीनियर बोर्ड काम करता है और कैसे चीजें होती हैं। क्लास, thank you for listening. This is what all you need to study about the topic management education and training. Thank you students.